Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship and watched the stars. The year was 2157, and Earth had been peaceful for many months. Their small fleet of 30 ships floated quietly in space around their home planet. Most people on Earth lived normal lives, not knowing that danger was coming from the deep space. Jake was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had been watching the stars for 25 years, waiting for this day. His uniform was simple blue and white, nothing fancy. He knew that today would change everything for humanity. "Sir, we have movement on the long-range sensors," said Lieutenant Amy Foster from her station. Amy was young with brown hair tied back in a neat style. She had been Jake's best sensor operator for 3 years. Jake walked over to her station and looked at the screen. Hundreds of red dots appeared on the display, moving toward Earth. They were still far away, but they were big and fast. "How many ships?" Jake asked. 200, sir, maybe more." "They're massive," Amy replied. Her voice was steady, but Jake could hear the worry in it. Jake nodded slowly. He had been expecting this for a long time. "Send a message to Dr. Lisa Parker. Tell her to come to the bridge right away." Dr. Lisa Parker arrived 10 minutes later. She was a smart woman in her 40s with short blonde hair and kind eyes. She wore a white lab coat over her uniform. Lisa had studied alien life for 15 years, but she had never seen real aliens before. "Admiral, Amy told me about the ships. Are they really coming here?" Lisa asked. "Yes, and they're not here to say hello," Jake replied. He turned to face the main screen. "Computer, show me the alien fleet." The screen filled with an image of space. At first, it looked empty. Then the computer highlighted the alien ships. They looked like giant metal dragons with sharp points and glowing red lights. Each ship was 3 times bigger than the largest human ship. "They're beautiful," Lisa whispered. "And scary." Captain Troy Hansen walked onto the bridge. Troy was a good pilot with black hair and a calm face. He had flown more space missions than anyone else in the fleet. "Admiral, all our ships are ready. The crews are waiting for orders." Jake looked at his 3 officers. These were good people who trusted him. They didn't know the full truth about what was coming. They didn't know that Jake had been preparing for this moment his whole life. "The aliens will be here in 6 hours, Jake said. "They will probably want to talk first. Lisa, I need you to handle the first contact. Try to learn as much as you can about them." "What should I tell them about us?" Lisa asked. "Tell them the truth. We're a young species. We've only been in space for a short time. We don't want to fight," Jake replied. Troy frowned. "Admiral, shouldn't we try to look stronger? If they think we're weak, they might attack." Jake smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. "Troy, sometimes it's better to let people think you're weaker than you really are." The alien fleet moved closer to Earth. As they got nearer, the human sensors could see more details. The ships were huge and covered in weapons. They moved in perfect formations, like a well-trained army. "Sir, they're sending a message," Amy reported. "It's in our language." "Put it on the main screen," Jake ordered. The screen changed to show a tall alien creature. It looked like a giant lizard that walked on 2 legs. Its skin was dark green with red markings. Its eyes were yellow and cold. It wore armor that looked like it was made of black metal. "I am Commander Zara Velthak of Vav, the Draconian Imperium," the alien said. Its voice was deep and harsh. "We have come to claim this world for our empire. Your species will surrender immediately or face destruction." The message ended, and the bridge was quiet. Lisa looked scared. Troy's hand moved to his weapon. Amy stared at the screen with wide eyes. "They want us to give up," Lisa said quietly. "How long do we have?" Jake asked. Amy checked her instruments. They're sending another message, sir. The alien commander appeared on the screen again. Humans of Earth, you have 72 hours to surrender. Send your leaders to our flagship. If you refuse, we will destroy every city on your planet. We have conquered 47 star systems. You cannot win against us. The message ended again. Jake walked to the center of the bridge and looked at his crew. They were all looking at him, waiting for him to tell them what to do. Amy, send a message to all Earth Defense Force ships. Tell them to move to defensive positions around Earth. Make it look like we're scared, but trying to fight anyway. Sir, are we really going to surrender? Troy asked. Jake looked out at the stars where the alien fleet was getting closer. Troy, do you know what a trap is? Yes, sir. It's when you make the enemy think one thing, so they do what you want. That's right, and the best traps look like accidents. Jake turned back to his crew. Lisa, prepare for first contact. Amy, keep watching their ships. Troy, get your fighter ready, but don't launch it yet. What about you, Admiral? What will you do? Lisa asked. Jake walked to his command chair and sat down. I'm going to make some calls. There are people who need to know that our guests have finally arrived. As Jake reached for his communication device, he looked one more time at the alien fleet on the screen. The Draconians thought they were coming to conquer a weak planet. They thought humans were just another primitive species that would fall easily to their power. They were wrong. Jake had been waiting for this day for 25 years. Earth had been preparing for this moment much longer than that. The aliens would learn soon enough that humans were not what they seemed to be. First, Jake had to let them think they were winning. 24 hours had passed since the alien fleet arrived. Dr. Lisa Parker sat in the shuttle that would take her to the Draconian flagship. She wore her best uniform and carried a small bag with gifts from Earth. Her hands shook a little, but her voice was steady when she spoke into her radio. Admiral Morrison, I'm ready to go to their ship, she said. Remember, Lisa, you're scared, but trying to be brave. Let them think we're desperate. Jake's voice came through the radio. I understand. Sir, see you soon, Lisa replied. The shuttle pilot was a young man named Danny Webb. He had been flying for only 2 years, but he was good at his job. Danny looked nervous as he started the shuttle engines. Don't worry, Danny. Just get us there safely, Lisa said with a smile. The Draconian flagship was enormous. It was called the Sovereign's Wrath, and it looked like a giant metal dragon floating in space. As their small shuttle got closer, Lisa could see weapons everywhere on the alien ship. There were enough guns on that one ship to destroy a small moon. Dr. Parker, they're opening a docking bay for us, Danny reported. Take us in, Lisa replied. The shuttle landed inside the alien ship with a soft bump. Lisa picked up her bag and walked to the shuttle door. When it opened, she saw a group of Draconian soldiers waiting for her. They were all tall and covered in dark green scales. Their yellow eyes watched her like hungry animals. The leader of the soldiers spoke in perfect English. Dr. Parker, I am Captain Nextar. Follow me to the meeting room. Lisa nodded and followed the aliens through their ship. The walls were made of black metal, and red lights glowed everywhere. The ship smelled like hot metal, and something else she couldn't identify. Other Draconians watched her as she walked past. They all looked dangerous. The meeting room was large, with a big table in the center. Commander Zara Velvik was waiting for her. The alien commander was even bigger in person, almost 8 feet tall. Her armor was covered in symbols that probably showed her rank and victories. Sit down, human, Velvik said. Her voice was cold and harsh. Lisa sat in the chair across from the alien commander. She put her bag on the table and tried to look nervous. It wasn't hard to do because she really was scared. I brought some gifts from Earth, Lisa said. Things that show our culture and history. Velthok looked at the bag, but didn't touch it. I did not bring you here for gifts. I brought you here to accept your surrender. Commander, my people are frightened, but we're not ready to give up yet. We want to know what you plan to do with us if we surrender, Lisa replied. The alien commander laughed, but it sounded more like a growl. Your people will work for us. The strong ones will serve in our armies. The smart ones will help us build our ships. The rest will work in our factories. And if we don't surrender? Lisa asked. Then we will destroy your cities one by one until you do, Velthok replied. We have done this 47 times before. Every species thinks they can fight us. They are always wrong. While Lisa talked with the alien commander, she was secretly doing something else. Hidden in her bag was a small device that looked like a gift. It was actually a very advanced scanner that was recording everything about the alien ship. The device was so small and well hidden that the aliens couldn't detect it. Back on Earth, General Ryan Clark was in a secret underground base. Ryan was a big man with white hair and scars on his face from old battles. He had been a soldier for 30 years, and he knew how to fight wars. The base was deep under a mountain, and it was full of weapons and technology that most humans didn't know existed. Sir, Dr. Parker's scanner is working perfectly, reported engineer Katie Bell. Katie was a smart young woman with red hair and green eyes. She had designed many of the secret weapons that Earth would use against the aliens. We're getting detailed information about their ship's structure and weapons. Good. What about our stealth ships? Are they in position? Ryan asked. Yes, sir. Colonel Matt Stone's squadron is hiding behind the moon. The aliens can't see them, Katie replied. Ryan nodded and looked at the big screens that showed the space. Around Earth, the alien fleet was spread out in a pattern that looked strong, but Ryan could see the weak spots. He had been studying alien tactics for 20 years, and he knew how they liked to fight. Katie, activate Protocol Omega. It's time to start the real plan, Ryan ordered. Katie's fingers moved quickly over her controls. All around the solar system, hidden bases began to power up their weapons. Space stations that looked like pieces of rock started to move into position. Ships that had been invisible for years began to prepare for battle. On the Draconian flagship, Commander Velthek was getting reports from her officers. Sub-Commander Draketer, her second-in-command, looked worried. Draketer was smaller than Velthek, but just as mean. His scales were darker, and he had a scar across his left eye. Commander, our sensors are detecting strange energy readings throughout this system, Draketer reported. What kind of energy readings? Velthek asked. Unknown, Commander. They appeared suddenly about an hour ago. Also, 3 of our scout ships have not reported back from their patrols. Velthek turned to look at Dr. Parker, who was still sitting at the table. The human looked confused and worried, like she didn't understand what was happening. Dr. Parker, are your people doing something they shouldn't be doing? Velthek asked. Lisa looked surprised. Commander, I don't know what you mean. Our ships are all around Earth where you can see them. We don't have any secret weapons or hidden bases. Velthek stared at the human for a long moment. Something felt wrong, but she couldn't figure out what it was. Humans were supposed to be a young species, with simple technology. But the energy readings her ships were detecting didn't match that description. Draketer, send more scouts to investigate those energy readings, Velthek ordered. Yes, Commander. Should we also scan the human ships more carefully? Do it. I want to know everything about their technology. Back on Earth, Admiral Morrison was watching the alien fleet through his ship's sensors. He could see the Draconian scouts moving around the solar system, looking for things they wouldn't find. The human stealth technology was much better than the aliens knew. Sir, the aliens are scanning our ships, reported Amy Foster. Let them scan. They'll see exactly what we want them to see, Jake replied. Any word from Dr. Parker? She's still. On their flagship, the hidden scanner is working perfectly. We now know the location of their main weapons, their shield generators, and their communication systems. Jake smiled. The aliens thought they were the hunters, but they were wrong. Humans had been preparing for this kind of war for decades. Earth looked like a weak planet with a small fleet, but that was just what they wanted the galaxy to think. Amy, send a coded message to General Clark. Tell him that Phase 1 is complete. We're ready to begin Phase 2. On the alien flagship, Dr. Parker was finishing her meeting with Commander Velthak. She stood up and picked up her bag, making sure to leave the hidden scanner behind where it would keep working. Commander, I need to return to Earth to talk with my leaders about your offer, Lisa said. You have 48 hours left to surrender, Velthak replied. Do not waste time. I understand. Thank you for meeting with me. As Lisa walked back to her shuttle, she passed more Draconian soldiers and officers. They all looked confident and powerful, like they had never lost a battle. They thought this conquest would be easy, just like all the others. They had no idea that they had just walked into the most dangerous trap in the galaxy. Lisa's shuttle left the alien flagship and headed back to Earth. As she flew through space, she could see the human fleet in the distance. The ships looked small and weak compared to the alien vessels. But Lisa knew the truth. Those ships were just the beginning of what humanity could do when they needed to fight for their survival. Admiral Morrison, I'm coming home, Lisa said into her radio. Good work, Lisa. Did you learn what we needed to know? Yes, sir. And I think they're starting to suspect that something isn't right. Perfect. Let them wonder. The more confused they are, the easier our job will be. 48 hours had passed since Dr. Parker's meeting with the aliens. The Draconian fleet was getting ready to attack Earth. Commander Velthak stood on her bridge, watching the human planet on her main screen. She expected to see panic and chaos, but the humans seemed strangely calm. Sub-Commander Drachter, report on our missing scouts, Velthak ordered. Drachter looked at his instruments with a worried expression. Commander, we have now lost 7 scout ships. They simply vanished from our sensors. No distress calls, no wreckage, nothing. How is that possible? The humans only have 30 small ships, and we can see all of them near their planet. I don't know, Commander. It's like the ships just disappeared into empty space. What the Draconians didn't know was that Colonel Matt Stone and his stealth squadron were hunting them. Matt was a tough soldier with black hair and cold blue eyes. He had fought in 3 wars and had never lost a battle. His ship, the Shadow Strike, was invisible to alien sensors. Matt's squadron had 12 ships, all equipped with the most advanced stealth technology that Earth had ever built. They could move through space like ghosts, striking without warning and disappearing before the enemy could fight back. Target acquired, reported pilot Amy Foster from her fighter. Amy was flying her own stealth ship, called the Night Hunter. She had painted 13 small alien symbols on the side of her ship, one for each enemy vessel she had destroyed. Remember, no survivors, Matt said into his radio. We can't let them report back to their fleet. Amy's ship moved silently behind. A Draconian scout vessel. The alien ship was alone, far from the main fleet. The aliens inside had no idea that death was approaching them from behind. Amy pressed the fire button. A beam of pure energy shot out from her ship and hit the alien vessel. The Draconian ship exploded in a bright flash of light, leaving nothing but scattered metal pieces floating in space. Target destroyed, Amy reported. No escape pods detected. Good work. Return to base, Mac replied. Back on Earth, Dr. Ben Taylor was working in his secret laboratory. Ben was a thin man with gray hair and thick glasses. He had been studying alien technology for 15 years, ever since Earth had captured its first alien ship. Most people didn't know that Earth had been collecting alien technology for decades. "General Clark, the new weapons are ready for testing," Ben reported through his radio. General Ryan Clark's voice came back immediately. "What kind of weapons, Ben?" "We've combined Draconian energy weapons with our own particle beam technology. The result is a gun that's 3 times more powerful than anything the aliens have." "How many do we have?" "Enough to equip our entire fleet, plus the hidden defense platforms around Earth." Ryan smiled as he listened to the report. The aliens thought they had better technology, but they were wrong. Earth had been stealing and improving alien technology for years. Every time an alien ship had visited their solar system, humans had learned something new. On the Draconian flagship, Commander Velthak was getting more worried. Her fleet was slowly shrinking, and she didn't know why. The humans claimed they were still deciding whether to surrender, but something felt very wrong. "Commander, we've lost another 3 ships in the last 6 hours, Draker reported. They were all on patrol missions in different areas of the system. "Have any of them sent distress signals?" "No, Commander. They just vanished." One moment they were there. The next moment they were gone. Velthek walked to her command chair and sat down heavily. In 47 previous conquests, she had never faced anything like this. Enemy fleets usually fought face to face. They didn't make ships disappear like magic. "Draker, recall all our scouts." "I want every ship close to the main fleet." "Yes, Commander. What about the humans? Should we attack them now?" Velthak looked at the screen showing Earth. The human ships were still in their defensive positions around the planet. It looked scared and weak, just like every other species she had conquered. But if they were so weak, how were they making her ships disappear? Not yet. Something is wrong here. I want to understand what's happening before we commit to a full attack. What Velthak didn't know was that humanity had been preparing for this kind of war for 50 years. After their first contact with aliens, human leaders had realized that Earth needed to appear weak while secretly becoming strong. They had built hidden bases throughout the solar system and developed weapons that could destroy entire fleets. Captain Troy Hansen was flying his fighter toward one of these hidden bases. The base was built inside an asteroid near Jupiter, and it looked like a normal space rock from the outside. But inside, it was full of the most powerful weapons that humanity had ever created. "Home base, this is Captain Hansen requesting permission to dock," Troy said into his radio. "Permission granted, Captain. Base 7 is open for you." Troy's ship flew through a hidden entrance in the asteroid. Inside, he could see hundreds of human ships getting ready for battle. These weren't the small, weak ships that the aliens could see near Earth. These were warships designed to fight and win against superior alien technology. Admiral Morrison was waiting for Troy in the base's command center. The command center was carved out of solid rock and filled with computer screens and communication equipment. "Troy, how are our stealth attacks going?" Jake asked. "Very well, sir. Colonel Stone's squadron has destroyed 19 alien ships so far. The aliens are starting to pull their scouts back to the main fleet. Good. That means they're getting scared. Fear makes people make mistakes." Jake walked to a large screen. That showed the positions of all the ships in the solar system. The alien fleet was gathered near Earth, but there were human ships everywhere that the aliens couldn't see. Hidden bases, stealth fighters, and weapon platforms surrounded the Draconian fleet like a trap. "Sir, when do we spring the trap?" Troy asked. "Soon. But first, we need to make them even more confused and scared. I want them to think they're going crazy." Back on the Draconian flagship, strange things were starting to happen. The ship's computers were acting strangely. Communication signals were being jammed, and then clearing up for no reason. Some of the crew reported seeing human ships on their sensors, but when they looked more carefully, nothing was there. "Commander, our main computer is showing errors in 17 different systems," reported the ship's chief engineer. "What kind of errors?" Velthik asked. "Unknown, Commander. It's like something is interfering with our electronic systems, but our technicians can't find the source." What the aliens didn't know was that Dr. Parker's hidden scanner was still working on their flagship. It wasn't just collecting information about the alien ship. It was also slowly introducing computer viruses into the Draconian systems. These viruses were designed to cause confusion and make the aliens' weapons less effective when the real battle began. Sub-Commander Draker approached Velthek with a worried expression. "Commander, I think we should attack the humans immediately. Every hour we wait, more strange things happen to our fleet." "You think the humans are doing this?" Velthek asked. "I don't know how, but yes. They're not as weak as they appear to be." Velthek looked at the screen, showing the human fleet near Earth. The human ships still looked small and harmless. But her own fleet had lost 22 ships, and she didn't even know how it was happening. "Prepare for battle," she ordered. "All ships, attack formation. We're going to end this now." The Draconian fleet began to move toward Earth. 178 alien warships powered up, their weapons and shields. They moved in perfect formation, like a deadly metal cloud approaching the human planet. From space, it looked like Earth was about to be destroyed by overwhelming force, but Admiral Morrison was ready for them. As he watched the alien fleet approach, on his screens, he smiled. The aliens thought they were attacking a weak planet defended by 30 small ships. They had no idea that they were flying into the most dangerous trap in the galaxy. "All units, this is Admiral Morrison," Jake said into his radio. "The enemy is coming to us. Remember, let them get close before we show them what we really have. Make them think they're winning right up until the moment we destroy them." All around the solar system, human forces prepared for the battle that would decide the fate of Earth. Hidden weapons powered up, stealth ships moved into attack positions, and secret bases opened their weapon ports. The real war was about to begin. The Draconian fleet moved toward Earth like a giant metal storm. Commander Velthek stood on her bridge, watching the human planet grow larger on her screen. Her remaining 178 ships were spread out in perfect attack formation. Their weapons were charged and ready to destroy anything in their path. "All ships, prepare to fire on the human fleet," Velthek commanded into her radio. The 30 human ships near Earth looked tiny compared to the massive alien fleet. They were arranged in a defensive circle around their planet, but they seemed hopeless against such overwhelming force. The human ships didn't even try to run away. They just waited, as if they were too scared to move. "Human ships, this is your last chance to surrender," Velthek broadcast on all frequencies. "Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded." "Admiral." Morrison's voice came back through the radio. He sounded tired and defeated. "Draconian fleet, we can't fight you. Your ships are too powerful, but we won't surrender either. If you want our planet, you'll have to take it." Velthek smiled, showing her sharp teeth. "So be it. All ships, open fire." The alien fleet unleashed a massive wave of energy weapons. Hundreds of laser beams and plasma bolts shot toward the human ships. The space around Earth lit up like a deadly fireworks show. It looked like the human fleet would be destroyed in seconds. But something impossible happened. The human ships didn't explode. Instead, they were surrounded by shimmering energy shields that absorbed the alien weapons. The shields were so strong that the Draconian attack barely scratched them. "What?" Velthek shouted. "How are their shields so powerful?" Before anyone could answer, space around the alien fleet began to change. Asteroids that had been floating peacefully suddenly opened up to reveal massive weapons platforms. The platforms were 3 times bigger than the largest Draconian ship, and they were covered in guns. "Commander, we're detecting massive energy signatures all around us," Draco reported. His voice was shaking with fear. More impossible things began to happen. Ships that had been invisible suddenly appeared everywhere. They weren't the small, weak ships that the aliens had seen before. These were huge warships with advanced weapons and armor. They surrounded the Draconian fleet like hunters surrounding trapped animals. "This is Admiral Morrison," came a new voice over the radio. But now Jake didn't sound defeated. He sounded confident and dangerous. "Welcome to Earth, Draconians. We've been waiting for you." The largest human ship, a massive vessel called the Terra's Hammer, moved into position directly in front of the Draconian flagship. It was twice the size of Velthok's ship and covered in weapons that the aliens had never seen before. "Impossible," Velthek whispered. "Our intelligence said they were a primitive species. How do they have this technology?" Dr. Ben Taylor's voice came through the radio from the Terra's Hammer. "Commander Velthek, let me explain something to you. Humans have been in space for much longer than you think. We've been watching the galaxy for decades, learning about every species that might threaten us." "You're lying," Velthek replied, but her voice wasn't as confident as before. "Am I? Let me tell you about the Craxian Empire. They tried to invade Earth 12 years ago. Their fleet disappeared, just like yours is about to. Or maybe you've heard of the Zephyrian Collective. They sent a conquest fleet to our system 8 years ago. They never made it home either." Velthek felt cold fear spreading through her body. You've been doing this for years?" "Decades," Ben replied. "Earth appears weak because we want it to. Every aggressive species in the galaxy eventually comes to our little corner of space, thinking they'll find an easy conquest. Instead, they find us." Around the Draconian fleet, more human ships appeared. They came from every direction, from behind asteroids, from hidden bases, from places where space had seemed empty. The aliens were completely surrounded by a force that was 3 times larger than their own fleet. Captain Troy Hansen was piloting his fighter toward the alien flagship. His ship was small compared to the massive Draconian vessel, but it was equipped with the most advanced weapons that humanity had ever built. "Admiral Morrison, I'm in position to attack the flagship," Troy reported. "Negative, Troy. We want to capture Velthek alive. Use the disable beams instead of the destroy weapons." "Understood, sir." The human fleet began its attack. But this wasn't the chaotic battle that the Draconians had expected. The human ships moved with perfect coordination, like they had practiced this exact scenario hundreds of times. Their weapons were precise and devastating. Every shot hit its target. The first wave of human fire destroyed 50 Draconian ships in less than 30 seconds. The alien vessels exploded in brilliant flashes of light, their crews having no time to escape or fight back. "All ships retreat," Velthek screamed into her radio. Emergency jump to hyperspace, but nothing happened. The Draconian ships tried to activate their jump drives, but the systems wouldn't work. Unknown to the aliens, the human scanner that Dr. Parker had hidden on the flagship had been spreading computer viruses throughout the entire fleet. The viruses had taken control of the jump drives and disabled them. "Commander, we can't jump to hyperspace," Draco reported. "The navigation computers are not responding." "Then we fight," Velthek replied. "All ships. Attack the humans with everything we have." The remaining Draconian ships fired their weapons at the human fleet. Their shots hit the human ships, but the advanced shields absorbed the damage easily. The human ships were built with technology that the aliens had never seen before, technology that Earth had developed by studying captured alien vessels for decades. The battle was not a battle at all. It was a massacre. Human ships destroyed alien vessels with terrifying efficiency. The Draconians had been predators for so long that they had forgotten what it felt like to be prey. "Commander, we've lost half our fleet," Dracta reported. "We have to surrender." "Never," Velthak replied. "Draconians do not surrender." But as she watched her ships being destroyed one by one, Velthak began to understand the truth. The humans weren't just defending their planet. They were hunters who had been waiting patiently for their prey to come to them. Colonel Matt Stone and his stealth squadron attacked the alien fleet from behind. Their invisible ships struck like lightning, destroying enemy vessels before the Draconians even knew they were being attacked. "This is too easy," Amy Foster reported over the radio. "These aliens fight like they've never faced a real enemy before." "That's because they haven't," Matt replied. "They've been bullying weak species for so long that they forgot how to fight. Someone who can fight back." The Draconian fleet was falling apart. Ships tried to flee in every direction, but human forces were waiting for them. Some alien crews abandoned their vessels and tried to escape in small pods, but even those were captured by human ships. On the flagship, Velthak watched her mighty fleet being destroyed. The ship that had conquered 47 star systems was now powerless against this one small planet. Her weapons were damaged, her shields were failing, and her crew was panicking. "Commander, human ships are surrounding us," Dracta reported. "They're preparing to board." Velthak looked at her bridge crew. These were warriors who had never known defeat. Now they looked scared and confused, like children who had been caught doing something wrong. "Prepare for boarding," she ordered. "We'll fight them hand to hand if we have to." But when the human soldiers came onto the flagship, they didn't fight like primitive warriors. They wore advanced armor that protected them from alien weapons. They moved with perfect coordination and used tactics that the Draconians had never seen before. The battle inside the ship was short and brutal. The human soldiers captured the bridge in less than 10 minutes. Velthak found herself surrounded by armed humans who looked at her with the same cold eyes that she had used to look at her victims. Captain Troy Hansen removed his helmet and looked at the alien commander. "Commander Velthak, you are now a prisoner of Earth Defense Force. Your fleet has been destroyed." Velthak looked around the bridge at her captured crew. Through the windows, she could see the remains of her fleet floating in space. Only a few ships were still intact, and they were all surrounded by human vessels. "How?" she asked quietly. "How did a primitive species defeat the Draconian Imperium?" Troy smiled, but it wasn't a kind smile. "We're not primitive, Commander. We're apex predators, and you just became our prey." Outside the flagship, the last few Draconian ships were surrendering. The mighty fleet that had conquered nearly 50 star systems had been completely destroyed by a species they thought was weak and helpless. "Admiral," Morrison's voice came through the radio to all human ships. "Excellent work, everyone. The threat to Earth has been eliminated. Begin salvage operations and prepare the prisoners for interrogation." The battle was over. The predators had become the prey, and Earth had won its greatest victory. 6 months had passed since the battle. The space around Earth was quiet again, but it was a different kind of quiet. In hidden shipyards throughout the solar system, human workers were building new ships. These weren't the small defensive vessels that other species knew about. These were warships designed for conquest. Admiral Jake Morrison stood in the main construction bay of Shipyard Alpha, watching workers put together the hull of humanity's newest battleship. The ship was massive, bigger than anything Earth had ever built before. It was made with the best human technology, combined with captured Draconian systems. "How long until she's ready?" Jake asked engineer Katie Bell. Katie looked up from her work tablet. Her red hair was tied back, and her green eyes were bright with excitement. 3 more weeks, Admiral. The Terra's Vengeance will be the most powerful ship in the galaxy. Jake nodded as he looked at the ship. The Terra's Vengeance was just one of 50 new warships that Earth was building. Each ship was designed to fight and win against any alien force they might encounter. Humanity was no longer content to just defend their home planet. Katie, what about the other projects? How are the new weapons coming along? Dr. Taylor's team has finished the improved particle beam cannons. They're twice as powerful as the weapons we used against the Draconians. We've also completed the new stealth systems that make our ships completely invisible to any known alien sensors. In a secure prison facility on Earth's moon, Commander Zara Valthek sat in her cell. The alien commander had been captured alive during the battle, and human interrogators had been questioning her for months. Valthek was the only surviving Draconian officer, and she held information that Earth needed. General Ryan Clark entered the prison cell. The big man with white hair looked tired but determined. He had been working day and night to prepare humanity for what came next. Commander Valthek, we need to talk, Ryan said as he sat down across from the alien prisoner. Valthek looked up at him with her yellow eyes. 6 months in prison had changed her. She was thinner now, and her green scales had lost their bright color. But her eyes still held anger and pride. I have told you everything I know about Draconian military systems, Valthek said. What more do you want from me? I want to know about the other species in your empire, the ones you conquered. Where? Are there home planets? Valthek was quiet for a long moment. Then she looked directly at Ryan. Why do you want to know this? Because we're going to free them, Ryan replied. The alien commander laughed, but it sounded bitter. You think you can fight the entire Draconian Imperium? My fleet was just one small part of our forces. We have thousands of ships and millions of soldiers. Had, Ryan corrected. Your empire doesn't know what happened to your fleet, do they? Valthek's expression changed. She had not thought about this before. Her fleet had been sent to conquer Earth, but they had never reported back to the Draconian homeworld. As far as her people knew, the conquest fleet had simply vanished. That's right, Ryan continued. Your government thinks your fleet just disappeared. They have no idea that Earth destroyed it. They don't even know that we exist as a military threat. In another part of the solar system, Dr. Ben Taylor was working in his laboratory on a captured Draconian ship. The ship had been completely taken apart, and Ben's team was studying every piece of alien technology they could find. Dr. Taylor, we found something interesting in the navigation computer, reported his assistant, a young scientist named Lucy Green. What did you find? Ben asked. Complete star charts of Draconian space. We now know the location of every planet in their empire, including their homeworld. Ben smiled as he looked at the star charts on his computer screen. The Draconian Empire controlled hundreds of star systems, but now Earth knew exactly where they all were. More importantly, they knew which planets held conquered species that might be willing to fight for their freedom. Lucy, send these charts to Admiral Morrison immediately. He'll want to see this. Back on Earth, Ambassador Paul White was in a meeting with representatives from several alien species. These weren't enemies. They were traders and diplomats from neutral civilizations who had no idea what had really happened to the Draconian fleet. Ambassador White, our governments are concerned about the Draconian conquest fleet that was sent. To your system, said Ambassador Kexalon, a tall blue alien with 4 arms. They should have reported their success by now. Paul looked concerned and worried, just like he was supposed to. Ambassador Kexalon, we're worried too. The Draconian fleet arrived here 6 months ago, but then they just left without saying anything. We thought maybe they decided we weren't worth conquering. That doesn't sound like the Draconians, replied Ambassador Zitara, a small gray alien with large black eyes. They never leave a system without either conquering it or destroying it. Maybe they were called away to fight somewhere else? Paul suggested, we're just a small, primitive planet. Perhaps they had more important targets. The alien ambassadors accepted this explanation because it made sense to them. Earth appeared to be a weak planet with limited technology. It was reasonable that the Draconians would ignore such a target if they had more important battles to fight. What the ambassadors didn't know was that their conversations were being recorded. Earth was gathering intelligence about every species in the galaxy, learning their strengths and weaknesses, their alliances and enemies. When humanity finally revealed itself to the galaxy, they would be ready for anything. Dr. Lisa Parker was now working directly for Admiral Morrison as his chief intelligence officer. She spent her days analyzing the information that Earth spies collected from around the galaxy. Her office was filled with star charts, alien technology, and reports from human agents who had infiltrated alien governments. Admiral, I have the latest intelligence report from our operatives in the Centauri sector, Lisa said as she entered Jake's office. What did they find? Jake asked. 3 more species have been asking questions about the missing Draconian fleet. The Hegemony Council is starting an official investigation. They're sending scout ships to search the trade routes where the fleet was supposed to travel. Jake walked to the large window in his office that looked out at Earth. The planet looked peaceful and normal, just like it had before the Draconians arrived. But hidden beneath the surface and throughout the solar system, humanity was preparing for war. How long do you think we have before they figure out what really happened? Jake asked. Maybe a year, possibly 2 if we're lucky. Eventually, someone will trace the Draconian fleet's path back to Earth. Good. That gives us time to complete our preparations. Jake turned back to Lisa. What's the status of Operation Starfall? All teams are in position. We have identified 47 star systems with planets that were conquered by the Draconians. The local populations are still fighting resistance wars against their occupiers. If we can provide them with weapons and support, they could overthrow their Draconian governors. And Operation Deep Strike? Dr. Taylor has finished mapping the Draconian homeworld's defenses. We've identified their shipyards, their command centers, and their main fleet bases. When we're ready, we can hit them all simultaneously. Jake nodded. Humanity was no longer the defensive species that other civilizations thought they were. They had become something much more dangerous, a predator species with advanced technology and a plan for galactic expansion. 3 weeks later, the Terra's vengeance was completed. Admiral Morrison stood on the bridge of the massive warship as it prepared for its first mission. The ship was beautiful and terrifying, a perfect combination of human engineering and captured alien technology. Admiral, all systems are ready, reported Captain Troy Hansen. Troy had been promoted to command the new flagship, and he wore his new uniform with pride. Excellent. Set course for the Altair system. It's time to begin liberating the Draconian Empire. The Terra's vengeance moved through space toward its target. Behind it, 49 other human warships followed in perfect formation. This was Earth's first interstellar military expedition, but it would not be their last dot in the Altair system. The local population had been fighting against Draconian occupation for 15 years. They had no idea that help was coming from a small planet called Earth. They had never heard of humans, and they certainly didn't know that humanity had just destroyed an entire Draconian conquest fleet. But they were about to learn Dot as the human. Fleet approached Altair. Admiral Morrison opened a communication channel to the resistance fighters on the planet below. This is Admiral Morrison of the Earth Defense Force. We're here to help you win your freedom. The Draconian occupation of your world ends today. The response from the planet was confused and hopeful. The resistance leaders had been fighting a hopeless war for years. Now, suddenly, powerful allies had appeared from nowhere to help them. Earthships, this is General Vexstar of the Altarian Resistance. Who are you? How do you have such powerful ships? General, we're the species that destroyed the Draconian conquest fleet that was sent to our world 6 months ago. We've come to do the same thing here. The battle for Altair lasted only 6 hours. The Draconian garrison was completely unprepared for an attack by advanced human warships. By the end of the day, every Draconian ship and base in the system had been